planning, or he's sort of kind of.
He assigned.
He's a floater probably. Yeah.
Are we recording? Okay,
Okay.
all right. Good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock. Let's go ahead and start. Call the meeting to order. Yes, can you take roll, please?
Today we have Chair Don Mendez, Vice Chair Gary Macna, Directors John Bradshaw, Carol
Ethan.
Lyman,
Jason Bradshaw.
oh, sorry, Jason Bradshaw, and Nani Maderas.
All right. Thank you. I guess for the directors attending virtually, is anyone there attending with you at your location? If so,
By
could you have
myself.
them identify themselves, please?
By myself, thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And I barely heard him. Okay. And it looks like Nani's driving, so I'm sure. Is there anyone with you, Nani?
No, I'm by myself. I'm running late. I'll be there shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, okay, so. Item 2. Is it the volume? All right, item 2, so the minutes, we're actually not complete with all the minutes yet, so we're gonna actually defer that to the next meeting in May. I'm gonna move on to item number 3A. This request is to approve an extension to resolution number 183, which provides for official intent with respect to the issuance of Hulime multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Halava View 2 project located in Aiea, Oahu, TMK 199-003-026-002. Can I get a motion, please?
So
Thank you, Carol. Can I get a second?
Second,
Thank you, Jerry. Before we begin, is there anyone from the public that wants to submit any testimony at this time? I forgot Dell, but we get to it. All right, seeing none, go ahead.
Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, David White, Finance Manager. For this first item, Alava View 2 is a 302 unit project located in Aiea for families. This project consists of studios, 1-bedroom, 2 and 4-bedroom units, serving those in the 30, 40, 50 and 60% AMI range with a 56-year affordability period. This project was formerly known as Palava View 2 and 3, and it was combined into a single project that was originally awarded on July 11, 2019. It was awarded 4% LIHTC, HMF bonds, and RHRF. On March 9th, 2023, the LIHTC award was increased to $7,999,563 in federal LIHTC for 10 years and $7,999,563 in state LIHTC for 5 years. The project will consist of 2 towers and a shared 7-story parking structure. The project will also be utilizing $80,200,000 in HMF private activity bonds. Preliminary approval for the issuance of bonds, it was issued by the governor on October 8th, 2019. And also the project has been awarded a RHRF loan of $21,300,000. On March 9th, 2023, the Board of Directors approved Resolution 183, authorizing the final request to issue the bonds at closing. Currently, the project's deadline to issue bonds and close is April 13th, 2023. On March 23rd, the developer requested to extend the bond issuance deadline. So for this project, at the last update for the March Board of Directors meeting, the project was still awaiting its final permits. As of this week, the project has received its foundation and its superstructure permits, so all the permits are ready to pull and ready to pick up. Right now, staff is working with the developer on the final coordination of documents. We're also confirming the date of receiving signatures and approvals for the city's AHF loan, which will also be incorporated into staff. So once we receive all of those items, we can coordinate for final signatures and closing. So the staff has reviewed this request and is requesting an extension to the deadline to issue the HMF bonds for Halava View 2, requesting extension to June 8th, 2023, and to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action.
All right, thank you, David. Any questions?
And developer here too. Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, yeah,
I have a question. Maybe you can answer this.
Yes.
In the letter dated March 28th from Pacific Development Group, it talks about an unresolved matter concerning the $5 million affordable housing fund from the city and county and the subordination of those funds to the senior debt. Has that been resolved?
Yes, the development team, their attorneys and HHFDC worked with the city to resolve that matter. So
Okay.
what will happen is the city's affordable housing fund affordability period, which is 60 years, it's beyond the affordability period committed for this project. That will be in senior position to our declaration, but anything financial for the mortgage, the loan, the city's AHF funds will be subordinate to the senior lender and to HHFDC.
Okay.
So that's been resolved.
Great. So when is the anticipated close date?
We are waiting on the commitment currently from the city to exit when they can finish their corp council review and have the
Okay.
documents signed and in hand.
Okay,
We need to record all of this stuff at the same time for the financial closing, so we need a commitment to that date before we can present anything to the state, to the governor, and to the deputy AG for signature, because we need a firm date on those documents.
so
Once we determine that, then we'll be able to express a closing date, but we're hopeful. The June 8th is the date that's in here is for the logistics in terms of if something were to happen, that's the timing required to come back in again, but it will be anticipated much before that.
that's the date of our June meeting, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Consistent.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, if not, all in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried, thank you. Sorry, Del, I forgot to, if you could, I guess, deliver the rules for public testimony. But they asked you before we went into item 3.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Anyone wishing to present all testimony should indicate so to the chair. All testimony will be limited to 3 minutes, subject to the discretion of the chair. Your testimony must be on a matter that's on the board agenda. Before you begin your testimony, you should identify yourself and spell your name for the record. After 3 minutes, I will call time, after which you will have 15 seconds to conclude your testimony. Note that this opportunity is for you to share your concerns with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to respond or answer the question. For anyone wishing to submit written testimony, instructions for doing so are on the front page of the agenda under the section titled Public Testimony. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. All right, moving on to item number 3B. This item is to approve an extension to the rental housing revolving fund letters of intent for the Halava View 2 project located in Aiea, Oahu, TMK 1990030260002. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Thanks, Jason. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Carol. Anyone want to offer public testimony? No, okay, go ahead, David.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, so this is the same project, Lava View 2, discussed in the previous action. The RHRF letter of intent, the closing deadline has the same deadline of April 13th for closing. On July 11, 2019, the board did approve the RHRF loan of $21,300,000. The loan terms were a loan of 55 years. Years 1 to 3 were considered the interim construction period with 0% interest. Years 4 through 55 of the permanent period at an interest rate of 0.25, with repayment beginning in year 4 after construction at 5%, 55%, excuse me, of the available cash flow. This original RHRF letter of intent and terms were accepted on August 7th, 2019. The project has the same milestones, permits received, everything will close at the same time. So staff has reviewed this request and is requesting an extension to the deadline for the rental housing revolving fund letter of intent for Halava View 2 to the same date, June 8th, 2023, subject to the requirements as set forth in the original for action dated July 11th, 2019, and to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action.
Great, thank you, David. Anybody have any questions?
I have a general question, Chair. It can actually apply to both this project and the previous project. Is it normal that projects would get extensions going on 3 or 4 years? Is that typically how long it takes for things to get through the process at HHFDC?
This project encountered a variety of different issues throughout from its time of award. It's not typical for projects to extend this long. We usually anticipate financial closing within a year, hopefully no more than 2 on most projects, but this project was a bit unique in the circumstances that it encountered throughout the processes, throughout the time following its award up until this point here. They've been working hard to get their permits in place, as well as doing additional work on the existing property because they were previously awarded for Halava View 1. So I think it was just a combination of circumstances in the macro environment, as well as specific to this particular project, that caused this unusual amount of time to get to financial closing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Anybody else?
I must say a vote. I never say a vote.
No, if not, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to item 3C. So, this is to approve an extension to the rental housing revolving fund letter of intent for the Halevilico Highlands project located in Aiea, Oahu, TMK 199078006. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Thanks, Rob. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Anyone want to deliver any public testimony on this item? No, okay. Go ahead, David.
Thank you, Chair. Halevilico Highlands is a 140 unit project for elderly residents in Aiea. The project consists of studios and 1-bedroom units serving elderly residents at 30, 50, and 60% AMI with an affordability period of 60 years. The project was originally awarded on July 8th, 2021. It was awarded $26,750,000 in case-one tax exempt bonds, $1,919,262 in federal life cycle 10 years, $1,919,262 in state life cycle over 5 years, and also was awarded an RHRF loan of up to $23,792,353. The original RHRF letter of intent was accepted on August 18th, 2021, with an original closing deadline of April 29th, 2022. On April 13th of last year, the deadline was extended to January 30th, 2023. And this was extended on January 12th, 2023 at the board meeting through the current expiration date of April 30th, 2023. For this project, the permits were submitted back in April of 2022. Final permit issuance is expected in May 2023. Project is targeting financial closing in Q3 2023 with the subsequent start of construction and final completion in Q2 of 2025. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends an extension of the RHRF letter of intent to July 8th, 2023, subject to the requirements as set forth in for action dated July 8th, 2021. Also, this will bring the project's deadline for closing in line with the project's HMF bond issuance deadline. So the dates will be consistent. And also requesting the board authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. The developer is present online to answer questions, if any.
All right, thank you, David. Is there anyone have any questions?
Question,
Yeah, yeah.
Chair, is the reason for this, extension request, to allow for additional time for permit issuance, or is?
Yes, so the permit issuance is still pending so that we can start so we can start our bond calls and then so to finalize costs in the event that the project needs to adjust its budget for additional resources.
I'm just curious to know when the developer actually went in for, with their permit submittal, just get a gauge how much time, has it.
I believe they submitted on April 2022. Buster, is that correct?
That's correct.
So we're pushing up a year right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So like you said, so in May, they anticipate the permits in May.
Anticipate all permits to be in and ready to pull in May.
Okay. Any other questions? Well, if not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 3D. This is one to approve amendment to the Villages of Kapolei Master Plan, and two, increase the Villages of Kapolei spending approval budget for planning, design, and construction and maintenance. Okay, so I need a motion. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Jason. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone from the public want to offer any public testimony? No? Okay, go ahead.
Morning.
Yes.
It's already.
Good
Morning. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. Today, we are pursuing a request for approval of the Kapolei Villages of Kapolei Master Plan budget. And more importantly, the spending budget. So, for you, those of you that don't know me, I'm Rodney Shuriishi. I work in the development support unit down the hall. We mainly take care of maintaining the infrastructure for villages of Kapolei and Waihole Valley. So I know most of you have read the for action, and this is just exhibit B from the for action we can refer to, but just because we pretty much come in for a request every 5 years, I thought it would be good to refresh our memory of what this budget includes and entails. So to refresh your memory, Villages of Kapolei is pretty much 900 acres of development, includes 4,000 residential units, 1,200 street trees, and 900 street lights, which is a pretty massive area to maintain. So next slide, John. So right up front, I'll give you the request, the master plan budget. The last time we did receive approval of the budget was 2018, and that was for $217 million. And the spending budget that we received in 2018 was $191.8 million. So fast forward 5 years later, we're now in 2023. We're asking for an increase in the master plan budget of 40.5 million. and a spending budget increase of 36 million. Just want to say that we checked, we have funds available, restricted their funds. And and a little bit about the difference between the master plan budget and the spending budget. The master plan budget is really the budget that'll, you know, take us with projects to turn over the infrastructure to the city and county of Honolulu and for the dedication work. And a spending budget is the budget that we need to continue the effort to bring up the infrastructure to the standards that the city and county want, and also to continue the maintenance of the infrastructure. So the team here, we did some forecasting. We've hired consultants to help us walk the pavement and evaluate the infrastructure, try to determine what work is needed. And so we came up with an execution plan. That execution plan will require pretty much, it's not up there, but about $64 million for the next 5 years. But just want to say, we do have a balance of what was allocated last time. And just about FY 26, that money will start to be short. So that's why, you know, all we're asking for is to increase the budget from 26 to 28. And that amounts to $36 million. Keep in mind that there, you know, the increase in budget is due to several factors. We have an aging infrastructure. The development was built like 30 years ago. Everything is breaking down now, even the concrete. So, you know, that just causes us more and more work, more and more money. Also dealing with the city and county and trying to meet their demands of what is acceptable to them. And as you can all relate to, we're dealing with inflation, which is very unpredictable and high at the moment. Next slide. So this is stuff that we typically do for the infrastructure. We do tree trimming. We take care of the irrigation system, of the landscaping. We have a lot of breakage in irrigation. We also maintain potholes, you know, street lights, street sweeping, street signs. You know, we got accidents happening and that, you know, we need to address. We also have vandalism. And we need to look forward. So we have planning, design, and construction contract with consultant. The city and county dedication, we've already completed the first phase of it. We've rehabbed sidewalks, we've repaved roads, and this is for the backbone roads. I'll show you a map of that. We've also addressed street lights, landscaping, and drainage system, storm drainage system. Next slide. So this is a map of what we have completed so far. The first increment was called the backbone roads. It was an $11 million construction project. We have 99% complete. We just have a few minor items on the punch list. And we've already been discussing the transfer of maintenance to the city and county of Honolulu. We just need to get through the last push. With that project, we took care of the backbone roads, sidewalk, catch basins, and street signs. We've recently awarded this month the construction of the rehab of Kyle Avenue, and that's for $2 million. Next slide. So just to give an idea how money is spent in Kapolei, 83% of it is for the rehab dedication to the city and county. 6% goes to daily routine maintenance and repairs. 6% is for us to look ahead. And we have 5% of legal fees that look into whatchamacallit, easements and deeds. Next slide. I just wanted to say that the cost, it seems like it's increasing, but it's only for the purpose of fixing things up so we can transfer maintenance to the city. So eventually, in the long run, we are looking to reduce our maintenance costs of villages of Kapolei. And so in summary, again, we're asking for an increase in the master plan budget of 40.5 million and spending budget release of funds for 36 million. Any questions?
Any questions?
I do.
Okay.
Maybe two, I don't know. Okay, so I see this was, this project was done under Act 15,
Yes,
which came out of the late 80s.
yes,
Which circumvented
yes,
city and county review.
yes,
And I also note that HHFDC is contracted with an engineering consulting firm to do assessments
Yes.
of the conditions
Yes.
throughout the remaining portions of
yes.
Kapolei. Are they working under standards that are provided by the city and
Yeah.
county
So-
to conduct the assessment? Because a lot of money is being spent just on the engineering evaluation, and just curious to know if they have a standard to work off of, so that when they complete their assessment, it's something that would be accepted.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that's, so an MOU was signed with the city between HHFDC and the city in September of last year. The agreement was that the standards that we need to fulfill are applicable to the standards of when the development was built.
Okay.
So even though we did it under Act 15, we're allowing the city to come out and say, hey, this was the standard at that time. However, it hasn't been an easy conversation with the city necessarily, but that's what we strive for. We only want to give them or be obligated to give them what was the standards back when the development was built.
So, so the out for HHFDC is when the dedications occur,
Yes,
right?
yes, sir.
So hopefully, I know it's gonna take multiple years
Yes.
to get there, but just locking in the city's commitment to accept
Yes.
would be really important.
Yeah, that's been job number one.
MOU was a work in progress for many, many years, so having that MOU signed last year, that was a monumental.
Yeah,
It was a pivotal moment for us, where we can actually have a way out of Kapolei finally. But there are so many details, as Robbie mentioned, we are negotiating on what is the standard that we have to build to dedicate the infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think that's critical for the engineering consultant to know, so they can actually know what those are and cost it. So that
oh, definitely, definitely. I
So,
mean, that-
Chair, Chris, Sariasit, this question, to follow up in congratulations. I was at HHFDC or HCDCH back then, working with Leo Domingo on the non-potable system and the irrigation, and oh my goodness, that we were fixing potholes ourselves. It was pretty little crazy back then, and in the early 2000s. And so congratulations on getting the MOA with the city. That's pretty awesome. My question has to do with the funding, all this money. So DERF has this, I think it was explained in the presentation. So DERF has these funds available, and it's just, I know the write-up talks about the revenue coming back, but the money is there, or do we have to ask for more funds, or we'll be using existing or the requested DERF funds? Can you explain a little further on that, please?
I can explain that. we have last year, there was transferred into DER some tax exempt bond fund proceeds, which had been in the RHRF fund, but couldn't be awarded because of basically the restrictions on use of those funds. So those funds were put into DER specifically for work like Kapolei, where we can use those funds for infrastructure work, but we can't lend it out to developers for their projects, for example. So we have 35 million or so of those funds available, which will be used for the Kapolei dedication work.
Okay. Cool. Any other questions? I just have so like, as we complete, are we turning it over as we complete, or is it all gonna go one time?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
done in phases.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Just like the record show it. I'm not sure when we logged in. All right, moving on, item 3E. Like, this is to authorize an application for extension from status ordinance and rules pursuant to section 201H-38 Hawaii revised statutes, and approve one, the certification of Paka'ako Block C LLC or other successor entity approved by the executive director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15-307-24 Hawaii Administrative Rules. And 2, the project proposal. And 3, execution of development documents for approved exemptions for the Kaka'ako Block C rental for sale project located in Oahu, Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 121054001. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Carol. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anyone from the public want to provide any testimony at this time? No, all right.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Albert Palmer. I'm a housing development specialist here at HHFDC. This for action, as the chair read, is for the Kaka'ako Block C project, which is submitted an application for exemptions from statutes, ordinances, and rule pursuant to section 201H38. This project is also known as Kahuina. It is so-called Block C because it is identified as such in the Kaiaulu o Kaka'ako Master Plan, which was prepared by Kamehameha Schools. This is a new construction project in Kaka'ako, which will have 861 units and 1,266 parking stalls. 123 of the units will be rental available units, 1 manager's rental unit. 737 will be for sale units. The unit breakdown is shown in section 2D on page 3. The affordability levels for the project range from 70% AMI to 140% AMI. The applicant is a single purpose entity specifically established to develop and operate the project. The developer is Sanford Card Development, an experienced Hawaii developer focused on affordable residential housing who has done multiple projects with HHFDC in the past. And a more detailed description of the developer's experience is attached as Exhibit E. The land for the project is owned by the trustees of the estate of Bernice Pawahi Bishop and managed by Kamehameha Schools. Following creation of a condominium property regime, Kamehameha Schools will retain 1 condominium unit for the ground floor commercial spaces and will convey the remaining 2 condominium units for the rental portion and the for sale portion to the developer or affiliated special purpose entities. The condominium unit for the for sale portion will be submitted to a sub condominium regime to separate the individual apartments for sale to affordable buyers. Due to the structure of the project and in accordance with financing requirements, all of the rental units will be roughly contiguous in the building B podium. The building's amenities will be owned and maintained by the Association of Unit Owners of the condominium unit for the for sale portion. The total budget for the project is approximately 600 million. The board previously approved a rental housing revolving fund tier 2 award for the rental portion of the project in November 2022. under the name Kapuina. Construction is estimated to start in September 2024 and be completed in March 2027. A final environmental assessment and finding of no significant impact was published in the March 23rd, 2023 edition of the environmental notice. The FEA contained a section titled Unresolved Issues, which notes comments received from the Department of Transportation about the project due to its proximity to Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. The developer is not seeking any exemptions from Department of Transportation or FAA regulations, and approval of this for action shall be subject to the project's compliance with all such requirements relating to the development of projects near airports. The developer presented the project to the neighborhood board on August 23rd, 2022. The requested 201H exemptions from the city and county of Honolulu items include exemptions from fees and an exemption to allow the project to follow HHFDC's affordability requirements in lieu of the city's requirements. Exemptions from HCDA items include exemptions from floor area ratio, parking structure height limit, setback requirements, building form requirements, public facilities dedication requirements, and an exemption to allow the project to follow HHFDC's affordability requirements in lieu of HCDA's. The full list of exemptions is attached as Exhibit G. And a summary of comments received from review agencies is listed in Exhibit H. Some of the comments are discussed in the body of the for action section 3.0 on pages 7, 8, and 9. Staff's recommendation is that the Board of Directors authorize an application for exemptions from statute, ordinances, and rules pursuant to section 201H38 Hawaii Revised Statutes and approve the following: the applicant or other successor entity approved by the Executive Director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15.307.24 HAR. Development of the project with the proposed exemptions from statutes, ordinances, and rules as recommended for approval herein pursuant to section 201H38 HRS. Execution of any development agreement and restrictions for such exemptions as required by the Executive Director, and authorize the Executive Director to take all actions necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action, subject to the following: approval with or without modifications by the Honolulu City Council pursuant to section 201H38 HRS, and staff notes that the City Council may make modifications to the project, including the exemptions or the affordability levels, but that no further action from the board will be required. Continuing subjects to exemptions from BWS's rules and regulations are subject to the approval of BWS. All hazardous and regulated materials from the applicable buildings, soils, and groundwaters shall be managed and or removed and disposed of in accordance with applicable local, state, and federal regulations prior to demolition activities which may disturb these materials. Execution of development agreement and restrictions within 6 months from the date of this approval, unless otherwise extended at the sole discretion of the Executive Director. The development agreement will include deadlines for commencement and completion of construction. Approval as to form of the applicable documents by the Department of Attorney General and execution by the Executive Director. Project should not be sold, transferred, or otherwise used to satisfy the reserved housing or affordable housing requirement for any other project at any other location. The project's compliance with all requirements of FAA and Department of Transportation as aforementioned, and compliance with all applicable laws, rules, regulations, and other terms and conditions that may be required by the Executive Director. And we do have representatives from the developer here with us today who are available to answer any questions about the projects.
All right, thanks, Albert. Any questions from the board? No?
I have one question. Is this regarding the FAA form 7460? I know you submitted to them. Do you know how long it typically takes to get a response from FAA, and will this exemption request be provided to the city and county prior to receiving the FAA response or subsequent to that? I guess, yeah, I mean, either way.
Yeah, it can take a few months. We did have another project which received their responses within about 6 weeks.
Okay.
From the FAA. But they're not seeking any exemptions from those requirements. So whatever those requirements are, even if there's a height limit requirement, they'll have to comply with that.
Okay. Are you anticipating any change to the height limit from?
No, the project's following what was outlined in the original environmental impact statement for the Kakako Community Development District that HCDA had published.
Okay.
And the subsequent limit of 400 feet and 418 feet
Mhm.
with rooftop structures.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. If not, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, thank you. Motion carried. Yeah, moving on to item 3F. This is to authorize an application for exemption from statutes, ordinance, and rules pursuant to section 21H-38. Hawaii revised statutes and approve one, the certification of High Ridge Costa Development Company LLC or other successor entity approved by the executive director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15-307-24 Hawaii Administrative Rules. And two, the project proposal. And three, execution of development documents for approved exemptions for the 690 Pohukaina mixed-use project located at 69 Pohukaina Street, Kaka'ako, Oahu, TMK 121-051-041. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Carol. Second,
second,
thank you, Gary. Anyone from the public want to submit any public testimony? No, okay, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Chair. This item, as Chair mentioned, is to approve an application for exemptions from statutes, ordinances, and rules pursuant to section 21H38 Hawaii Revised Statutes for the 690 Pohukaina project. This is a new construction project in Kaka'ako, which will have 625 units and 870 parking stalls. The applicant is High Ridge Costa Development Company with co-developer Forum Partners. This is an HHFDC project where we control the land via executive order. We published a request for proposals in November 2021, and in September 2022, the board approved the award of the RFP to the developer. At that time, the applicant was certified as an eligible developer for this project, and there has been no change to the structure or qualifications of the developer since then. The previous 4 action is attached to the current 4 action as Exhibit H. The project will be developed in 2 phases. Phase 1 is on the southeast side of the site and consists of a 30-story tower on top of the 9-story parking garage, total of 39 stories. Phase 2 is on the northwest side of the site, consists of an 18-story tower. Phase 1 will be owned by a single purpose entity owned by AHEAD Foundation, a Hawaii-based nonprofit corporation. And phase 2 will be owned by a to-be-formed single purpose tax credit partnership entity. Phase 1 will contain units at 80% and 100% AMI, and phase 2 will have units at 30%, 50%, and 60% AMI. Following refinement of the project's design, the unit mix has been modified slightly from what was originally proposed by the applicant in response to the RFP. The number of studio and 1-bedroom units has been increased, while the number of 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units has decreased, and the total number of units has decreased from 631 to 625, about 1% reduction. The proportional AMI mix is unchanged, except for one item, which is that the project's RFP proposal originally called for the phase 1 to have 80% of its units at 120% AMI. In November 2022, the board approved an award of an RHRF Rental Housing Revolving Fund Tier 2 loan for phase 1 of the project. The RHRF Tier 2 program requires that these units, which are at 120% AMI, to be further restricted to 100% AMI. These 2 requirements shall apply to the project separately, and the project shall comply with the more stringent of the requirements, provided that phase 1 utilizes the RHRF Tier 2 loan. Or in other words, if for some reason they ended up not utilizing the Tier 2 loan, the units could be raised back to 120% AMI. Items 3E through 3H on pages 4 and 5 show the changes to the budget since the RFP awards. Budget increased by about $3 million, from $317 million to $320 million. Phase 2 intends to apply for LIHTC, Kulame, multifamily, and rental housing revolving fund funding in the next financing round. Construction is scheduled to start in March 2025 and to finish in April 2027 for phase 2 and August 2027 for phase 1. This schedule may change depending on financing awards. HHFDC published a notice of Hawaii Revised Statutes 343 exemption determination in the April 8th, 2023 edition of the environmental notice. And the developer presented the project to the neighborhood board on November 22nd, 2022. The requested 201H exemptions from city and county of Honolulu items include exemptions from fees, an exemption to allow the project to follow HHFDC's affordability requirements rather than the city's. Exemptions from HCDA items include exemptions from floor area ratio, setback requirements, building form requirements, public facilities dedication requirements, lead requirements, curb cuts, parking, and an exemption to allow the project to follow HHFDC's affordability requirements rather than HCDA's. The full list of exemptions is attached as Exhibit F, and a summary of comments received from review agencies is listed in Exhibit G. Some of the comments are discussed in the body of the report action, section 3R on pages 7, 8, and 9. Staff's recommendations that the board of directors authorize this application. And the language in the recommendation section is substantially similar to the previous project. Except that there are no hazmat issues with projects, and they have already received their response letters from the FAA in regards to the height of the project, which is approximately 350 feet. We do note that the city council, Honolulu City Council, may make modifications to the project, including the exemptions or the affordability levels, and that no further action from the board will be required. And we do have representatives from the developer here with us today who are available to answer any questions about the project.
All right, thanks, Albert. Any questions from the board? Nope. Nope, all right. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, all right, motion carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess need a break
Yeah.
before we go.
I do.
Okay. Okay. All right, so I guess before we move into item 3G, can we take a 10-minute break? 10-minute break, return at 10 o'clock, yeah. All right,
That's good.
we'll take a break.
Thank you.
We're on break? Yeah. We unmuted. All right, thank you, everybody. Let's back into session. Where were we again? Oh, okay. Item G, all right, so moving on to item number 3G. This is a discussion on the status of lease rent renegotiations for the Waihole Valley Agricultural Park and Residential Lots subdivision located in Waihole, Ko'olaupoku, Oahu TMK 148 various. Is there anyone that wants to deliver any public testimony at this time? No, okay.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. I really don't have much of a public presentation to make on this matter. I will note, however, that we have concluded lease rent renegotiations with 27 out of 91 long-term ground lessees in Waihole Valley. That's just under a third of all the lease rent renegotiations that we need to conduct. And that's really the extent of my public report at this time. Chair, I'd suggest that the board entertain a motion to enter into executive session for the purposes of consulting with the board attorney and also discussing an acquisition of public property, real property.
Okay. All right, so I guess, and again, a motion, so the Board of Directors of the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation anticipates convening an executive session pursuant to section 92-5A3 Hawaii Revised Statutes HRS to deliberate the authority of persons is designated by the board to conduct negotiations to acquire public property or during the conduct of such negotiations, and section 92-5A4 HRS to consult with the board's attorney on questions or issues regarding to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities as it relates to this matter. So can I get a motion to go into executive session, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Carol. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are in executive session. Are we out? All right, thank you, everybody. Whoever's still online. We had some very good conversation. I guess we'll start with Chris. Could you kind of summarize?
Sure, Chair. Appreciate the board's healthy discussion of this matter. And appreciate the board's guidance in providing guidance to the staff on next steps to take in the Waihole Valley lease rent renegotiation process. The next steps that the staff will take will be as follows. For the residential lot lessees, we will be providing revised lease rent offers to all lessees directly. And those offers will reflect there'll be new offers. They'll be slightly discounted and depending on the size of the lot, a little bit more heavily discounted from the initial lot offers that HHFDC made in July of 2022. Those offers will go to all lessees, whether they have signed a lease amendment or they have signed an offer letter or not. Similarly, for all agricultural lot lessees, with the exception of the two lessees that have commercial lots as identified in the Declaration of Restrictive Covenants, all agricultural lot lessees will also receive revised offer letters from HHFDC. Those offer letters will reflect the terms that were agreed to with the group of lessees known as Mahiai o Waihole, which feature discounted rent terms from the offers that were made in July of 2022. But they also include additional reporting provisions that were negotiated with that particular group of lessees. And also will include a provision whereby the state will have the ability to ratchet the rent up to a higher level should the lessees not be substantially farming substantially in accordance with the terms of the original lease within a, say, 2-year period is what we're looking at. But otherwise, they will enjoy a discounted rent. They're farming in accordance with the lease terms. So, Chair, I think that summarizes the next steps that staff will be taking, the agency will be taking on this matter. And again, I do appreciate the healthy conversation that we had, discussion that we had with the board, and staff genuinely appreciates the support that the board has lent to us in this matter.
Thank you, Chris. I just want to say, thank you. The board supports that decision, and I just want to really appreciate all the hard work that you have done and staff and our attorneys, along with the community, working with us. So I just want to thank everybody for that.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, board members.
All right, we still have. Yeah, does anyone need a break? We're good? Okay, moving on to item 3H. This is for information on the state of Hawaii draft program year 2023, July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Annual action plan for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Office of Community Planning and Developments, Home Investment Partnerships, Housing Trust Fund, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS programs. This is for information. Okay, so is there anyone from the public that wants to give any public testimony? All right.
Okay, good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the board. My name is Carrie Higa, and I'm a planner here at HHFDC. This for information provides an overview of the draft annual action plan for program year 2023, covering the periods from July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Under the 5-year consolidated plan, the annual action plan is an application for federal funding and a planning tool that projects the anticipated use of funds received from HUD under the Home Investment Partnerships Program, National Housing Trust Fund Program, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program. Since the city and county of Honolulu receives its own allocation of home and HHFDC funds, the state focuses its home and HHFDC fund programs on the counties of Hawaii, Kauai, and Maui, while HHFDC's HTF program is meant to serve all 4 counties in the state. The draft annual action plan was developed following a series of public hearings held in each county and consulting with HUD, county housing agencies, public and private service providers, and other government agencies. The draft plan was made available for review by the public at public libraries, county housing agencies, DHS, HPO, HPHA, HHFDC, and on the HHFDC website for a 30-day window and comment period, which started on March 9th, 2023 and ended on April 8th, 2023. No comments were received. HHFDC administers the home and HTF programs, and the Department of Human Services administers the HHFDC program. The purpose of these funds is to provide decent, affordable housing for families and special needs populations, strengthen communities, and increase home ownership opportunities. In past program years, DHS administered the Emergency Solutions Grant Program. However, for program year 2023, DHS formally declined their ESG allocation of approximately $458,038 in favor of the neighbor island counties receiving funds directly, proportionate to each county's population size. Due to limited funding amounts, capacity, and time, the neighbor island counties declined their share of ESG funds as well, and instead the city and county of Honolulu has expressed interest in receiving the allocation in addition to their annual allocation. For program year 2023, HHFDC is eligible to receive approximately $3 million in home funding. Home funds are rotated annually among the neighbor island counties, and for program year 2023, the county of Maui is scheduled to receive the allocation. The county of Maui plans to utilize home funds for the development of affordable rental units and increasing home ownership units. Under the National Housing Trust Fund program, HHFDC is eligible to receive an annual allocation of approximately $3 million, which will be used in the county of Maui toward the development of rental housing for extremely low-income families earning 30% of the area median income or below. So in the past, the HTF allocation was split between a neighbor island county and the city and county of Honolulu. Due to the city's past challenges with administering the program, HHFDC has elected not to award them HTF funds for program year 2023. The next rotation of HTF funds will be made available to the city for program year 2024. As previously mentioned, the Homeless Programs Office of the state's Department of Human Services administers the HHFDC program and is eligible to receive an allocation of approximately $307,340, which will be used to provide financial assistance and services to individuals with HIV or AIDS who are homeless and at risk of homelessness. The Maui AIDS Foundation will serve as the centralized administrative agency to provide HHFDC-related activities in the counties of Hawaii, Kauai, and Maui. The final program year 2023 annual action plan will be presented to the HHFDC Board of Directors for approval at its next regular meeting. That concludes this for information item, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Carrie. Anybody have any questions? Nope. All right, thank you. Oh,
Just a quick question for home and HTF. Has Maui County identified a project or projects that they're gonna utilize those funds for?
They are currently doing, they issued an RFP, so a selection will be made probably in the next month or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Any other questions?
No, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Moving on to item number 4. Executive Director's Report.
Good afternoon, Chair, board members. This is actually Denise's report since it covers the month of March. We, Cynthia here, she can give the legislative update on the bills,
Yeah.
so,
Is it time for me to?
yes.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Cynthia Nyros, Legislative Coordinator for HHFDC. You have our list of bills relating to housing, and I just wanted to share a few highlights. So many of those bills are headed to conference. Conference committee hearings will be held at the legislature during the next 2 weeks. House Bill 668 helps address a 30-year-old problem that has existed in the villages of Kapolei, where the city still has not accepted the dedication of the infrastructure improvements constructed by the state, though they collect the real property tax revenues. HHFDC continues maintaining the roads, sidewalks, and other infrastructure at average cost to DERF of more than 1 million a year, soon to be 10 million a year. So we're really happy that that one is moving. House Bill 675 requires that HHFDC offer at least 2 funding rounds for housing financing programs if sufficient funding is available. So we do support the intent to provide developers with more financing opportunities in light of the demand for affordable housing. House Bill 676, District Boundary Amendments. This bill authorizes the appropriate county land use decision-making authority to determine the district boundary amendments involving land areas between 15 and 30 acres. Several members of our YIMBY working group expressed a strong desire for this as one way to expedite affordable housing. House Bill 677, DERF Equity Program. This allows HHFDC to purchase the equity and for sale developments to lower the amounts paid by buyers who are in the 80 to 120% AMI. In general, there seems to be more of a focus on rentals and for the lower AMI, so we're very happy to offer this for House Bill 678. The legislature is interested in affordable housing credits as a new source of interim financing for affordable housing.
Happy anniversary, right?
I'm sorry.
Yes, somebody wasn't on mute.
Originally, one of our concerns was the impact it would have on our existing staff to monitor and track the credits. The latest version makes the counties responsible for this. So we are now just responsible for the study and report to the legislature. Okay, so the last bill I want to highlight is House Bill 923. This has to do with our private activity bonds program. This bill levels the playing field for the counties that do not have their own bond issuance programs, such as Maui and Hawaii Islands. It requires that counties with such programs exhaust their allocation before seeking the state's allocation. If they give their allocation to the state in turn will apply its allocation to that county. So as you know, private activity bonds are the most limiting resource in terms of financing affordable housing. So that's it for our key bills.
Thanks, Cynthia.
Thank
Any
you.
questions on our bill before the legislature? Okay, in summary, I'd just like to thank the staff for helping make this transition as easy as possible, especially the Chris's branch, in addition to Waihole, his group also heads up our work in the legislature, so they have been very busy, Bill also has been great representing us at hearings. And Holly and her crew are doing a great job responding to budget inquiries. And I just want to highlight one item on behalf of Holly. Even we're seeing in the director's report that we have a new auditor coming on board for the first time in 13 years. And there's some concern that this auditor has no experience in Hawaii. They're selected by the legislative auditor's office, primarily based on, it seems, price. So it's we're concerned that it will be a lot of work for her group. Also for the other branches, since they will probably have much more inquiries than we normally do. So just something that we wanted to bring to the board's attention, that it will not be as smooth as it has been in past years.
Do they contract the auditor for more than 1 year?
It's for 3 years. but it's contingent upon them doing well in the first year. So, it's, I don't know. We don't normally pick professional services ourselves based on price. We go on quality. The auditor's office going on price, it seems, this year. So, we'll see how it goes.
Good luck.
That concludes my report.
All right. Any questions for Dean? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Sorry, hi Dean. I wanted to just check in with you on the budget. So the Senate worksheets came out this week and we have gotten 0, if I read that correctly. Go ahead, Dean.
Yes, that's it's a roller coaster as far as our budget. When the House Bill 300 came out last week, we had $100 million of DERF and $100 million of the housing revolving fund. That was last week, Thursday, when it was released publicly. When the worksheets came out this week, it's all blanked out. There's nothing that's the DERF or housing revolving fund. So we are meeting with the key legislators to explain how much we need for both DERF and rental housing revolving fund in particular. And so we'll make our case, and we hope that as the budget works out, that we will receive the funding that we have received in the past so that we can continue the pipeline of housing that we've had in the past few years. Because without those infusions, we cannot produce homes at the level that we have been in the past few years.
We're going to be working on some similar conversations, Dean, so I'll reach out to you, make sure that we're coordinating and on the same page. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And DBED will be participating as well. And we do have a meeting scheduled with all of our managers to discuss the budget impact. So thank you as well, Nani and Dean.
Thank you, Nani. Thank you, Chris. Okay, if there's nothing else. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Thank you, Carol. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Hi.
We opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
This morning we'll be the